And we are live, finally. Hey, man, this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ronaldo.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Uh, guys, mira, vamos a hablar en castellano. Para la familia allá en Perú, los amo, chicos. Eh, Ahí está mi pata, por favor, vayan y visitarlo, porque ese tío acá, ya, Rol, tú lo matas.
Espero que sí. Un saludo a todos allá en Suecia también, aquí en Perú y a los que nos estén escuchando en el mundo.
Bueno, ya. Ok, so for familia, perdón, pero ahorita necesito cambiar al inglés. Si no me entiendes, ni importa, mételo en Google Translate. um, so, Ro, tell everyone where you're from. Tell everyone, why it's so special that Bacardi Legacy is all the way over in Peru.
Okay, well, my name is Rolando Arias. I born here in Peru, and what I can tell you about myself is that I used to study in Italy, Spain, and also in Sweden. Uh, I lived for a while in Europe for 14 years, more or less. So that's why I speak English, actually. The reason I'm participating in this Bacardi Legacy, it's really special for me because I came back to Peru not even like a year ago, and this is the first Bacardi Legacy in Peru. So we both came to Peru at the same time, and not only that, I planned like 3 years ago uh, going to Sweden for studying the last semester of the university. So I quit my job in Barcelona and couldn't participate in that Bacardi Legacy 3 years ago. So finally, I have my revenge participating here. Um, Luckily, I'm one of the finalists at this moment.
Yes,
Something important here is that, as I said, it's the first Bacardi Legacy in Peru. And people don't know maybe that Bacardi Legacy is one of the most important tournaments for bartenders.
absolutely. And for you know for myself as a as a born Peruvian with Peruvian family, I feel so proud. So I feel so proud to see what you're doing over there and elevating the field in Peru and bringing cocktail culture to a world that really. I mean, I lived there for how many years, and I never saw a cocktail made that wasn't a pisco sour. Um, so it's really impressive, Ro. It's really impressive to see what you're doing, and the drink that you're presenting. I haven't tried it yet, but reading it on a piece of paper, it sounds complex. It sounds the perfect balance between boozy, sweet, sour, rich, and full bodied with that chocolate in there. Explain to everyone what's inside Volver.
Well, there are six ingredients. First of all, Bacardi Carta Blanca, of course. That's the spirit of my cocktail. Then the heart is Bacardi 8 or Bacardi Ocho. Then we have a fresh green apple juice. It's really freshy. It matches really great with Bacardi Carta Blanca because of the fresh notes of the rum. It also has chocolate bitters and star anise syrup. And of course, and the last ingredient and the most important for me is the oat. As many people know, oat is perfectly matched for the chocolate, apple, and star anise for a breakfast. And in my cocktail, it also has some cereal flavors. The
Yeah.
oat also represents the breakfast.
Okay, cool. We can get into both stories of both Cubist and Volver in a moment. But one thing that really drew me to wanting to speak to you, apart from the fact that you're representing out of Peru, um, it's Star of Venice, right? And
Yeah.
I've been living on Instagram forever now with this legacy. It feels like, and people don't use Star of Venice, and I think it's because they're scared. I think they're scared to use star of anise because it doesn't feel that the general public is going to like it. What are your thoughts, and what are you experiencing using this flavor over there?
Well, I think star anise is like the same thing people has people have with licorice. It's the same feeling, I think. Some people relate it to medicine. Some people relate to absinthe or to Ricard. I don't know really. Here, as I said before, is like I feel like people, at least in Peru, love sweet things, and it's really complicated for me explaining every single time that star anise is a ingredient not so famous, but they should try it first. How it much, and it works really great with the apple in my case, for example. I don't know in your case, and it also has like some freshy ingredient to your cocktail. It's like a plus.
Yeah, yeah, because I know, it feels like with rose cocktail, they're quite viscousy ingredients. The oats, fresh apple, which by the way, people, they always think of apple as something that's sweet, but it's actually quite sour, quite tart, right?
The
Uh,
Malik sour, yeah.
yeah. So, sorry, I just got a primazo. Hey man, I gotta call you back. Estoy online, estoy en vivo con Rob. Yeah, te amo. Ya, ya. Um, yeah, so when we compare our two cocktails, it feels like your Star of Anise has a lot more place to hide. It's blending with so many heavier flavors, whereas within Cubist, all I use 45 mils Carta Blanca. I use 20 mils extra dry vermouth, 2.5 mils of Ricard Pastis, 25 mils lemon, 20 mils honey, and I blend that in with 25 mils of prosecco. So there's not really that like these bold, heavy flavors for the anise to hide. It's kind of the centerpiece of my drink, right?
Mhm.
But I find that 70% of people love the drink, 30% of the people don't like the drink, and it's because of that anise. And I'm just curious, are you winning that battle to convince people that, just learn how to drink this? It's a sophisticated flavor.
Well, not really. At least in Peru, people, the food, the Peruvian food is like really spiced. We use a lot of different spices, like Indian food, but it's hard to explain them, or it's a really hard battle for me. Explain every single time that star anise is like a. It's hard to explain. It's like a plus for at least for my cocktail. It's like a plus. It also has like the sweet part because of the syrup, but also brings more fresh, more freshy notes to the apple that's already
Yeah,
fresh.
yeah,
So in my cocktail, at least I don't have that problem.
yeah. I think it's one of these things where I've started to incorporate it into my marketing campaign now. If you go check
I
out,
saw that.
yeah, Cubist Cocktail, I've started to angle things in a different frame, in a different light, and it seems to be working for me. People are engaging. People they're wanting to talk about it a little bit more. So I suppose my advice is, if you are going to use heavy spices, and if you are going to use really bold flavors like star of anise or even something like a bay leaf or cardamom, you have to be really precise. You know, zero point 0.5 mils over, you kill the drink. 0.5 mils under, there's no point putting it in. So you have to be really, really precise with these
Exactly.
really bold flavors.
When I create my cocktail, I one of the options was create using cinnamon. Was easier for me, but it wasn't the plus I gave to my cocktail now with the star anise. I
Yeah,
definitely prefer my cocktail with star anise.
yeah. So explain to everyone the concept behind Volver. And for anyone that isn't a Spanish speaker, explain what the translation of the drink and then how that relates in.
Okay, volver a empezar means to start over or start again. Volver a empezar for me is part of my life. It's a nice shot.
¿Tienes tu botella por allá?
Sí, wait.
Ya, vamos a hacer un chupita. Ya, cuando estoy esperando para el ron, me voy a hablar con mi familia. Hola a todos allá en Lima, ojalá que está bien. Los extraño y ahí está, mira, uy, con el 8. Ya, pero no sé si tiene un vasito o vas a tomar.
Mejor.
So yeah, like I said, I'm really excited to speak to Ronaldo because it's a really interesting thing to see Peru involved in such a global scale. All right, here he is. Yeah. Arriba, abajo.
Al centro.
Viva Perú, carajo. Salud. Ay, riquísimo. Yeah. Okay, so volver a empezar. So starting over again, and how does that relate to you, and why did you want to bring that on board with your cocktail?
Exactly. The story about volver a empezar means to start over again, start from zero. Well, every time I travel or I move to a different country, I start from zero again. So the last time I moved from one country to another one was last year, and for me, it was difficult because I live basically half of my life in Europe, and coming back to Peru is not so easy because you know how it is. It's a really complicated country. But anyways, I decided to move here, and I left friends, my house, and all my experiences there. So I put all that experience, all that feelings in my single cocktail, Volver a Empezar.
It's a really interesting personal story. How do you? I'm interested to know, how do you take that personal experience, and how do you relate that back to people when you're explaining the concept?
Well, I also explained to people that Emilio Bacardi, he moved to Spain, exactly in Barcelona. He lived there for 10 years, and then he moved back to Cuba. He became a writer, a patriot, and the first mayor of Santiago de Cuba. So what I'm telling people, he also restart or volver a empezar in Cuba again. And that's the way the two parallel lives goes to the same point.
Yeah, it's really interesting because what I find is that every person that I speak to doing these hangouts, or everyone that I speak to online, or things that I see on Instagram, our lives end up relating, through these drinks, whether it's by design or by accident. And the more that you uncover these things, the more it turns out that each ingredient plays a really vital role in telling your story. So I think using a spice like star anise is really integral. It's really important for your story, because that's it's who you are. It's where you come from, as well as in Cubist. It's the idea behind Cubist. It's all about fragmentation, and it's all about art theory and understanding that the things are things aren't always the way that they seem for every set of eyes. And sometimes you love art, sometimes you hate art, but you'll always talk about art, right?
Yeah.
So there's my little connect with that particular spice.
I really love your posts. They are amazing, really.
Thanks, man. It's I've been told that it's like watching somebody post on acid.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's if you've never seen it, go check it out. It's Cubist_cocktail. And yeah, I'm really into art. I like art theory. I like approaching art in a very weird and eclectic way. And so I really try to do as much as I can to showcase that. You know.
Maybe I really love it because the way I am. I'm really odd to my personal profile is also really odd. It's like I'm like really calm, but also it depends of the day. I'm in a different completely mood. Maybe that's why I use star anise too.
Yeah.
I think people don't use it really common here.
I think it's some advice for anyone that watches this and is thinking about entering Legacy or any cocktail competition for that fact. I think you need to look at who you are as a person, and sometimes it's hard to find these links with how you want to create a drink or how you want flavors to be perceived and come across. But I'm not an embodiment of my art. The art is an embodiment of of how I wish I could be or how I wish I could interact with the world externally. Um, so my daily interactions don't reflect what my posts are. My post is a reflection of what my drink is. If that makes sense.
Yeah, got it.
So I really try to advise people, when people ask me, well, how should I enter a cocktail competition? How weird should I go? How simple should I go? Um, as cliched as it sounds, I'm always going back to the idea of, okay, well, like, who are you, or who do you want to be? And whoever you want to be, find correlations with flavors and spices that match with that and that relate to that, and then throw those into a drink.
You know what about this competition is that I really love it because it's really hard to go 2 times or to participate 2 times in Bacardi Legacy because in every single in this cocktail you put a lot of your feelings, the way you are, and to reflect it 2 times in or 2 different years in 2 different cocktails is really hard, and that's why there's a lot of me in this cocktail, and that's what I love.
Yeah, that's such an amazing point, and it's an amazing point that people shouldn't lose track of, because, like you said, legacy is it's huge, and I think you really hit the nail on the head when you say, I mean, you give so much of yourself to this competition and to your drink,
Yeah, exactly.
So tell
um,
everyone, what's your plan with your campaign? What is it that you're doing that you feel is separating Volver to everyone else?
well, my future plans for this cocktail, at least in the next month, is going again to different academies in Peru. I already traveled to Trujillo. This is a city in the north of Peru. Going to different academies, doing a lot of guest bartendings, be again in the social medias a lot with my. Now I'm going to launch my video, my English video, and I'm planning also another video too, but that's going to be a surprise. And then in February, I have another surprise that you're going to see really soon, like in 2 3 weeks. I'm
Interesting,
gonna drop it.
interesting, interesting. All right. So a major part of your campaign is on the ground, right? It's reaching out to people, doing guest shifts.
Yeah, I really love share my not only my cocktail, but it's also my story, and I really like to share it.
Yeah,
So
and for anyone that watches this and is either in legacy, in preliminary stages or is thinking about doing legacy, one of the best things about legacy it's the ability to travel. The ability to go to other cities and meet other people, and sometimes you can't do that on foot. Sometimes it has to be digital. Like we're doing now. But
yes,
it
sorry, I was saying that my plan at the beginning was going to Argentina for doing a guest shift in Buenos Aires. But at the end, I need also to check my job because I'm doing like a lot of guest bartendings every single week, and I need to be also in my job. They need me.
Yeah, and explain to people what's the bar scene like in Lima.
Well, recently we have a one bar that's called Carnaval. They are the first Peruvian bar that are in the 50 best bars in the world. It's a really nice bar, but there are also another bars that people should definitely go here and visit them. They have amazing ideas. Overall, they have amazing, um, what can I say, ingredients because Amazonas is really close to us. So the products that we manage are like really awesome. That's what I can say about Peru. I'm surprised about it.
Yeah,
There's one.
it's one of these things where I was back home in Lima about a year ago, and um, it's changed when I look what's happened in the last 18 months. It's not the same place that I grew up in, and I think that's fantastic. And I think I really like this education approach that you're taking, because you're taking your concept and you're taking your drink and you're including so many others around you, and you're starting to build a culture, starting to build a community, and that's only going to serve Peru better. It's only going to serve Lima better, and so you're doing a really good thing, bro.
Yeah, that's also something really important for me in this campaign. Is going to. Well, you have a long hair.
Nah, not so long, but it's a little bit
Longer than
unkept
me.
right now.
Well, something really important for me is going to academies because the bartenders of the future in the 5 to 10 years are there. So it's also important for me show them my message, show the product to them because it's the market of the future.
Absolutely, and I think education is one of those fields that not enough legacy people focus in on. It's fantastic that everyone's doing charities, everyone's involving, different entities, different companies inside their legacies. But one thing that I feel gets overlooked is bar schools, and it's the youth, and how do you best get them on board, to carry on your legacy and Bacardi's legacy down the line.
Mhm.
So just like you, I decided to go down that education route, and started up a link over in Africa. I'm doing international bar school in Stockholm a couple of times, and I really think that once you get to the stage in top three, you have to start looking bigger than yourself and bigger than your drink. And you have to really start to think about how do you incorporate people. How do you get them talking to each other and connecting in a really meaningful and wholesome way.
Exactly. The start of a legacy is connecting people. That's my first the first of the day because how you're going to build a legacy if you're not connecting to people, that's the way. I think you're doing great with that. I Your campaign for me is the best. Yours and Less is More are the two best campaigns in this year, I think.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I haven't seen less is more so much, but I don't think I only just recently followed him, so I got to go do my homework and check him out.
Well,
But I really think that it's I'm very proud of my campaign. I'm very proud of what I've done. But I think it shouldn't go unstated that it comes at a cost. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of dedication. I think you can't get involved in legacy and do this half-hearted.
by the way, who's your brand ambassador there?
He goes by the name of Jimmy Hulf. Do you know him?
No, no. I met one guy. He's he's Swedish, but he works in Norway, I think, as a brand ambassador. Stefan.
No, I don't know him. But it's a really connected up here in Europe. It's a really connected world with legacy. The legacy competitors. We're talking every day. We're sharing menus. We're sharing listings. We're sharing ideas. We're helping each other. So it's a really cool unified feeling. And I think in order to stand out, and we keep going back to this Star of Anise, but I think that's the theme of this needs to be. In order to stand out with your drink, you need to have a little bit of a confronting flavor, at least a confronting spice. So don't be scared to use spices, and especially strange spices, or at least unfavorable spices.
Exactly. I in my cocktail menu, I use a lot of different weird things, and I think it's that the spirit of my cocktails. I use aloe vera in my cocktails. What else? Like carrots. For example, something I learned from Sweden is using licorice and fennel. How it's called in Spanish? Eneldo.
For Elindo.
Eneldo.
Yeah,
And
it's
people don't use it here.
I think you need to break the mold. Everyone's going to do a twist on a daiquiri. Everyone's going to do like their version of a Bloody Mary using rum. Everyone's going to use or to make a stiff and bittered and a little bit chocolatey bitters, and Negroni style. You really have to break the mold, and you have to look at the last 2 or 3 years of competitors. What did they use? What glassware did they use? What ingredients have you seen for a while? And you've got to think outside the box, and you've got to break it down, and you have to do your research 100%.
Exactly. I already saw in Bacardi Legacy yogurt,
Yeah,
and I think it was the last year, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
yeah. And again, like it's taking these things that you wouldn't assume that would make a drink. And I mean, the drink is a large part, but the marketing campaign is also a really large part. So that's kind of how I've shifted now. I want to start marketing the Star of Anise. I want to start pushing this idea of don't be scared of it. Because for me, when people see my page, they relate it to a certain thing, and they get the drink, and when they try it, I don't want it to be a surprise for them.
But are you using pasties too, right?
Yeah, I use Pasty.
And how is it going with the anise and the pasties?
Yeah, well, I mean the anise is within the pasty. Like it's a very aniseed flavor. So I just used a bar spoon of Pernod,
Yeah.
and that does me really well. But it can be quite tricky because other bartenders have tried to make the drink, and they've put 5 mils of pasty in, or maybe they don't have a steady hand, and when they're trying to pour it in, they spill it in. So that's a challenge. I always try to tell people, like, maybe dash it if you have a thick
But
dasher bottle.
how come pasties and no absinthe?
Because absinthe for me was a little bit of a lighter flavor. It got lost too much with the dryness and with the honey, and it didn't really come out with this. When I add just a bar spoon of Pernod, I get almost like this fresh cut green apple flavor.
Hmm.
So it was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of practice, a lot of drinking. But Pono was the well, Ricard, sorry. Ricard was the right spirit for me. I tried Pono, I tried Ricard, I tried Lafay Absinthe. I tried a bunch of different other things, but nothing really gave me the same effect like Pono did.
Okay. Good.
But cool, man. Hey, is there anything else you want to say before we jump off? And I mean, I could talk to you for 7 hours.
Me too. But the thing is that I need to go to print some gift to many bartenders here for the Bacardi Legacy. So I need to go.
Envíeme algo.
Ahí está, te lo llevo en julio, junio, cuando voy.
Vale.
Estoy regalando un set de agenda, botella minis de Bacardi, pines, posavasos y una carta.
Ya, perfecto. Ese va a ser para mi cumpleaños en julio.
Perfecto.
Ya, pues, Pata, es un placer, es mi honor para tenerte acá en Hangout. Y mira, todo cariño desde Perú hasta ti allá en Lima.
Gracias, igualmente.
Y mira, vamos a hablar en Instagram y vamos a hacer si podemos hacer algo.
Estaría bien.
Yeah, perfecto. Yeah, okay, so everyone, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you learned a thing or two about using the spice within your cocktails. All right, man. All right.
Espérate.
Yes.
Well, have you ever tried pisco, right?
Pisco?
Yeah.
Have I tried pisco?
Yeah.
Yes, I tried.
Okay. Well, you should definitely try Chilcano with star anise.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
It works really well.
Man, ever since I made Cubist, I cook with star of anise. I swim with star of anise. I make love with star of anise. I'm all about star of anise, baby. All right, man. Hey, go print your things, and I'll talk to you real soon.
See you, man. Have a good night.
You too, man. Ciao.
Ciao.